All right, picture this for a second. Two of the biggest minds football has ever seen, like generals in some ancient war going head to head, not just over trophies, but over ideas, over identity, over how the game itself should even be played. And the wild part is it's not just about who's better, it's about what you value in life. Do you chase beauty or do you chase results? Do you want the masterpiece or do you want the medal? And these two guys, Guardiola and Mourinho, they didn't just compete. They built entire philosophies. They created religions in football where millions of fans around the world picked sides, defended them like tribes, and the battles they had weren't just matches. They were like heavyweight title fights, pure chaos, pure theater, pure genius colliding on the biggest stages. And the reason people still can't stop talking about it is because it's not finished. The debate is still alive. Their fingerprints are all over modern football. And no matter who you side with, you can't deny both men changed the game forever. So buckle up, because this isn't just a story about football. It's about obsession, creativity, conflict, and what it really means to be great. All right, so here's the thing, man. When you talk about the philosophy contrast between Guardiola and Mourinho, it's like talking about two completely different worlds that somehow coexist in the same sport. Because Guardiola looks at football like an artist, like this perfectionist scientist who wants to bend the game to his will. Every pass, every run, every touch is choreographed. It's about dominating the ball, suffocating the opponent, creating this illusion that you can't breathe. And his teams become these machines that just move in sync, like Barcelona at their peak. City now, it's hypnotic. You watch them pass 50 times before they break you open, and it's like watching someone solve a puzzle in real time. But Mourinho, man, he's the exact opposite energy. He doesn't care if you have the ball. He doesn't care if your football looks. His whole thing is, we're going to make you uncomfortable. We're going to frustrate you. We're going to defend like our lives depend on it. And the second you make a mistake, boom, we punish you. It's primal, it's warlike, and it's ugly to some people, but brutally effective. Like his Porto side taking down giants, his Inter Milan team beating Barcelona with 10 men. That's Mourinho's essence. His football is about survival, about exploiting weakness, about the mental side of the game as much as the tactical. And the crazy part is both philosophies actually work. They just scratch a different part of what football is. One side is beauty, dominance, elegance, and the other side is grit, resilience, ruthlessness. And what makes it fascinating is when these two styles collide, because it's like a moral debate unfolding on a pit. Like, do you value art or do you value results? Do you want to watch a symphony or do you want to watch a street fight? And the truth is, both have their place. Guardiola makes you dream, Mourinho makes you respect the grind, and together they represent the two extremes of football's soul, the idealist who wants to control chaos versus the realist who wants to weaponize it. And that's why people are obsessed with this rivalry, because it's not just two managers, it's two philosophies battling for the crown of football itself. When you start talking about trophies and legacy between Guardiola and Mourinho, that's when it gets wild, because these guys are walking museums of silverware. Like, both of them have cabinets so stacked you'd think they were running out of room to put the medal. But the way they built those legacies couldn't be more different. Pep is all about domination. He doesn't just win, he creates dynasties. He goes into a league and he doesn't just take the trophy, he takes the whole damn country hostage. Barcelona with tiki-taka, Bayern steamrolling the Bundesliga, Manchester City turning the Premier League into his personal lab experiment. He racks up points and titles like it's a video game, and that kind of consistency, that kind of stranglehold, it's unheard of. It's like he's proving over and over that his philosophy can own an entire era. But then you look at Mourinho and his legacy is built on those "I told you so" moments, those games where he wasn't supposed to win, those underdog stories where his teams outsmart giants. Porto shocking the world, and Inter's treble in 2010 where he slayed Barcelona and then beat Bayern in the final. Chelsea's rise when he came in with swagger and turned them into killers. He's got league titles in 4 different countries, Champions Leagues with 2 different underdog squads. And that's not just winning, that's conquering football from every angle. And the beauty of it is Pep's legacy feels like evolution, pushing the game forward with tactics that get studied in coaching schools, while Mourinho's legacy feels like folklore, these war stories of grit and mind game, taking squads nobody believed in and dragging them to immortality. And it makes the debate crazy because on one hand, you've got Pep with the numbers, the domination, the stats that scream greatest ever, and on the other, you've got Mourinho with the aura, the personality, the moments that live forever in highlight reels and documentaries. So who really wins? Do you measure legacy by how much you changed the game and dominated it, or by how many battles you won when everyone said you couldn't? Because if you're honest, both men have written their names into football history, but in totally different ink. One's a scientist, one's a warrior, and their trophies are the receipts for two completely different paths to greatness. The clash of eras between Guardiola and Mourinho is like one of those perfect storms in sports where two completely opposite forces just collide at the exact right moment, and it creates this drama that feels bigger than football itself. Because you've got Pep coming through Barcelona with this revolutionary style, tiki-taka, possession football, turning the game into this ballet of movement and precision, and at the same time you've got Mourinho, the self-proclaimed special one, swaggering into the spotlight, building teams on grit, discipline, and mind games, and their paths cross right when both of them are at their peak powers, and that's why it was so insane. Like you'd have El Clasico in the early 2010s where it wasn't just Barca versus Madrid, it was philosophy versus philosophy, beauty versus pragmatism versus war. And the stakes weren't just trophies, it was pride, it was identity, it was who gets to define football for the next decade. And those matches were insane, man. Red cards flying, benches fighting, Messi weaving through defenses while Pepe's out there trying to kick people into another dimension, Mourinho poking eyes on the sideline, Guardiola with that calm intensity. It was chaos, but it was also theater, and the whole world was glued to it, because it wasn't just about Spain, it was global. Every fan picked a side. Either you believed in Pep's utopian vision of football where you control every second, or you believed in Mourinho's results, or all that matters reality check. And the beauty of it is neither one of them completely killed the other. It wasn't like one era ended, it was more like two parallel legacies were being built. Mourinho winning the treble with Inter, while Pep dominated Spain, Mourinho stopping Pep's Barca run in the Champions League, while Pep later rebuilt at Bayern and then City. It was like watching Ali and Frey, two different styles, clashing over and over, pushing each other, shaping the sport as they went. And honestly, that's why people call it a clash of eras, because it wasn't just about games, it was about what football would look like, what fans would expect, how coaches would and those battles carved the blueprint for modern football in a way that's still echoing today. The whole style versus substance debate with Guardiola and Mourinho is like one of those eternal arguments that never really dies because it cuts right to the core of what people actually want from football. Like, do you want the game to be beautiful, elegant, control, or do you just want to win, no matter what it takes? Because with Pep, you get this obsessive commitment to beauty. It's poetry on grass. It's about movement, triangles, domination of space. His teams are like choreographed machines, where every pass is intentional, every run is calculated, and when it works, it's breathtaking. It's like watching art come alive. But then you have Mourinho on the other side, who basically says, screw the poetry, this is war, this is survival, and nobody remembers the beauty if you lose. His football is pragmatic, it's defensive walls, counterattacks that cut like knives, tactical fouls, psychological warfare. And to him, that's substance, that's the only thing that matters. The scoreboard, the trophy at the end of the season. And the thing is, both sides are right in their own way, because fans drool over Pep ball, but they also never forget Mourinho dragging Porto to the Champions League, or parking the bus with Inter and taking down Pep's all-time Barca team. And it sparks this insane debate because people accuse Pep of only winning with unlimited budgets and world-class players, while they say Mourinho doesn't care if the football is ugly as long as his name goes down in history. So it becomes this clash of ideals. Like, do you want to be entertained or do you want to celebrate? And what's fascinating is sometimes Pep's style collapses under pressure, overcomplication, too much beauty, not enough bite. While sometimes Mourinho's substance burns out, players get tired of suffering, of grinding without joy. So neither is flawless, and that's what makes it so fascinating, because it forces you to ask what football really is at its heart. Is it the spectacle or the success, the process or the outcome? And in reality, it's both, man. That's why their rivalry is timeless, because it keeps showing us there's no single answer. Beauty without winning feels empty.
Winning without beauty feels hollow, and the sweet spot is somewhere in between. But these two guys represent the extremes, the pure artist versus the pure pragmatist, and that's why this debate will outlive them both. Man, when you start looking at adaptability and evolution in the Guardiola versus Mourinho debate, that's when it gets really interesting, because it's not just about what they built at their peak, it's about how they've managed to survive change and stay relevant in a sport that evolves faster than almost anything else. Like Pep came into the game with this tiki-taka philosophy that looked untouchable. Everyone thought he'd cracked the code of football, but the crazy thing is, over the years he's evolved it. It's not the same rigid possession game anymore. He's added layers, false nines, inverted fullback, midfielders playing as defenders, defenders playing as midfielders. It's like he's constantly tweaking the formula, and that's why he's still dominating in England, where everyone said his style wouldn't work. Meanwhile, Mourinho came in as the disruptor, the guy who flipped the table on the established order with Porto, then Chelsea, then Inter. He was all about pragmatic winning, but the game caught up. High pressing, ball circulation, data-driven tactics started exposing the limits of pure pragmatism, and this is where his adaptability gets tested. Sometimes he adjusts, like at Manchester United, where he had moments of brilliance. Sometimes he doesn't, and people start saying his methods are outdated. But here's the thing, even when you think he's finished, he finds ways to reinvent himself, like taking Roma to a European trophy, a club that hadn't tasted that kind of success in forever. And so you realize adaptability for him isn't about changing his football completely. It's about taking that same mentality of siege warfare and applying it to new situations. While Pep is evolving like a scientist, constantly rewriting his experiments, Mourinho is evolving like a survivor, refusing to die no matter how much the game shifts. And the beauty of that contrast is it shows two paths to longevity in football. One is to keep reinventing your tactics to stay ahead of the curve. The other is to double down on your identity and prove it can still work against the odds. And both of them, in their own way, are still here, still relevant, still fighting, which says everything about why their rivalry feels eternal. Because adaptability isn't just about surviving. It's about forcing the world to keep talking about you, and both Pep and Mourinho have mastered that in their own insane styles. So when you step back and look at this whole thing, the Guardiola versus Mourinho saga, it's honestly bigger than just football. Man, it's like a case study on life itself, on how two completely different ways of thinking can both take you to the top of the mountain. You've got one guy who's an artist, building these beautiful machines that dominate the world, and another guy who's a warrior, dragging squads through the mud and still coming out with the crown. And what's so crazy is neither of them killed the other off. They both carved their own legacies that are going to outlive them. It shows you there's no single way to greatness. You can be the scientist, or the fighter, the poet, or the pragmatist. And if you commit to it fully, if you live and breathe it, you can still change the world. And I think that's why people obsess over this rivalry, because it's not just about football, it's about philosophy, it's about identity, it's about the eternal clash between style and substance, between evolution and survival. And no matter who you lean toward, you've got to respect both, because these guys gave us one of the most fascinating eras the sport has ever seen, and it's still echoing today, influencing coaches, players, and fans all over the globe. So yeah, man, that's the beauty of it. Two different paths, same mountaintop, and the debate never dies. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out, for diving deep into this crazy ride of football history. I appreciate you. Stay curious, stay passionate, and good luck with whatever you're chasing, because if this story teaches anything, it's that there's always more than one way to win. Thank you, and I'll catch you next.